this is Dazzling One, and this week I'll be discussing virtual and augmented reality games as well as censorship on YouTube. So, if you have been keeping up with trends, you've probably heard of Pokemon Go. It's a location-based augmented reality mobile game developed by Niantic, and it was initially released in July of 2016 for iOS and Android devices, starting with the US and Australasia, with Asian and European releases to follow. So pretty much augmented reality and virtual reality are very similar, but the difference is that virtual reality uses some type of wearable tech that makes you focus outside of the room on somewhere else as if you're within another world, and augmented reality, on the other hand, is done by a phone or a tablet, is an overlay of a virtual world on the real world. Similar to Pokemon Go, there was Ingress, and Pokemon Go has a scavenger hunt feel, and people are going around town searching for Pokemon, and some people have been so distracted while playing this game that they've been mugged. And while I think it's pretty interesting that we're seeing more artificial intelligence and technology that was once deemed science fiction, now a reality, and it can be a good thing. For instance, doctors can use it to plan procedures and surgeries and how to treat patients. It also can have a darker side as well. Like I mentioned, people are so distracted by it they don't notice that they're in danger and they're lured into a trap. It also poses the risk of people getting so lost in this fantasy world that they lose complete touch with reality as well. And maybe there's some type of mind control involved as well. It's moving us into what we would call the New World Order and a more Orwellian type of society. So one thing I found interesting with the rise of more of this technology also is that we have people questioning reality itself. What is real is what many are saying, because they're so confused with things like the Mandela effect. They thought something was one way, but now it's different, and they just can't seem to figure out what's going on. They feel like someone's altering time, and there's all these different dimensions. And so when you already have them in this type of mindset where they're confused, and then you introduce technology where you can go into a different world, we just have a lot of confused people running around, which is sad. But it's also something that was prophesied, that in the last days there'd be a lot of confusion abounding, and we see that. With that, I want to move into the next subject, which is censorship on YouTube. But before I get into it, I want to talk about Stratfor. Stratfor stands for Strategic Forecasting Inc., and it's a global intelligence company founded in 1996 in Austin, Texas by George Friedman, who is the founder, chief intelligence officer, and CEO of the company. Fred Burton is Stratfor's vice president of the intelligence. And so WikiLeaks exposed them as a Zionist group, and they pretty much police the internet. They're tied to major corporations, and they watch activist groups to make sure no one's getting out of hand and collect information. So something on YouTube that I often hear a lot of complaints about are the bots, the paid trolls, the paid opposition, and videos disappearing. And so starting with the bots, because I was asked about it about a month ago when I made the comment in a video that some of the negative comments, I'm sure, are bots. It's a type of software application that runs automated tasks or scripts over the internet, and a video creator will pay an outside service to watch, like, and favorite a video through an automated machine. That way it works faster than a human could. And this is why sometimes we see a channel go from like 0 views to like 20,000 views, or someone go from 0 to 10,000 overnight because they paid for it. I mean, you can do this on Twitter, you can do this, I'm sure, on Facebook and any other site. Pay for followers, pay for subscribers. I've also heard some people say that they have lost subscribers out of nowhere. One thing I do know for sure is that sometimes people will subscribe to a channel and YouTube will unsubscribe them. So that does happen. They claim, though, that they from time to time scrub out inactive users and bots to make sure that it's more actual human followers versus bot followers. I don't know how true that is, or if they're just saying that to cover up taking away real people's subscriptions or follows to channels that they don't agree with. But that is another thing that often happens on YouTube. And while I've not been as unfortunate as some YouTubers to have my videos removed or my channel taken down, I do have AdSense on my channel. And since I have AdSense on my channel, that means that whatever I choose to monetize on has to meet certain guidelines. I have no problem with people who have AdSense or think that if a person can get paid to put out the videos they do, then it's a great thing. One thing I've noticed, I got an email a week ago on a couple of videos. One was all the way from 2014, the other one was from February of this year, saying that these videos were not advertiser friendly and they did not meet. And the way you violate the guidelines are either it's sexually suggestive content including partial nudity and sexual humor, violence including display of serious injury and events related to a violent extremism, inappropriate language including harassment, profanity, and vulgar language, promotion of drugs and regulated substances including selling, use, and abuse of such items, controversial or sensitive subjects and events including subjects related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown. So clearly I fell under the last category of controversial or sensitive subjects and events, because apparently if you have a view that veers from the generally accepted, then it's considered controversial or sensitive. I know if I mention ISIS, if I mention the crisis in Syria, the banking conspiracy, because that was one of the videos in which I got the warning on. I mentioned Big Pharma, so what the pharmaceutical companies are doing and how they're getting away with pretty much selling us drugs for the sake of making money but not actually curing people, the militarization of police and martial law. The video that I got in trouble for this year, I mentioned a bunch of subjects. It was one of those news update videos I did commentary on. And a few of the subjects I mentioned were the FBI and Apple and the whole encryption key ordeal. I talked about the if you see something, say something, which has a huge part to do with how they're also able to monitor people, because say someone doesn't feel comfortable with something they see on the internet because they want to expand this more to the internet, since the internet has such a great influence. Anybody can put anything on the internet. They can call a law enforcement non-emergency number and report that individual. I also mentioned in that video the Zika virus and how some said that it came from genetically modified mosquitoes connected to Monsanto, as well as the satellite that flew over the Super Bowl linked to North Korea, Turkey, and Syria. Apparently Turkey accused the United States and Russia earlier this year of forming a terror belt in their region, as well as the Kalamazoo shooting and how there would be more shootings this year, and there have been so many. There's so many shootings. It's like every day you turn on the television and a new place is shot, and then I get on Twitter and I see all these people who are scared saying nowhere they go is safe, and it's really getting really annoying to see all this every single day. I do think a lot of it is false flags, and I think that there's actually a reverse psychology to this. Like, this is probably not a popular opinion. I might even get fried for saying this, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So at first I thought, whenever I was seeing all of these mass shootings, that the purpose behind them was to have gun control. And we see whenever Obama addresses this, he always talks about how we need to have more background checks and we need to be careful who these guns fall into the hands of. And we see from the left, more or less, this idea that guns are horrible and that people need to be more sympathetic towards those who have been victims of these shootings. And then on the right, we see more people who are saying that this is infringing upon their Second Amendment rights. And we kind of see this Hegelian dialectic going on. And they say that we're not going to be safer from terrorism and everything else under the sun if we don't give up guns. And at first I thought this was all about gun control and taking away the guns. But what I'm starting to see, at least, because I do believe there is a coming civil war among the races, is that it's not so much about taking the guns away. And what it really is about is getting those who are armed to continue to arm themselves, so whenever this supposed civil war breaks out, because we've been programmed with all of these movies. I mean, look at the propaganda, Captain America, Civil War. They've made so many slave movies over the years, and then they have focused and shed light on police brutality and violence against black men in America, which has been an ongoing problem, but suddenly now they want to shine the light on the issue, so that also is suspicious in itself. And really what they're trying to do here is get both sides, whether black or white, to think to themselves that I'm not safe, the police are in danger, look at that whole Dallas ordeal, that as a black American I'm not safe, and that the only way I am going to be safe is if I clash with the other group. And there can't really be an effective clash if nobody has any guns. There just can't be. Whenever the New World Order does occur, that guns will be taken out of people's hands, but in order to have this civil war, because nation will rise against nation, which also can be ethnicity against ethnicity, people need guns to kill each other. And so people are buying guns at disproportionate numbers, and they're arming themselves, and when the time is right and people have had enough, there can be that bloody war. So that is what I believe they're doing, is reverse psychology, and too many people have fallen for it. So all of those topics that I talked about, whether it's banking and the Federal Reserve and the central banks, big pharma, police militarization, and martial law, because they will have to declare martial law if there is a type of civil war, ISIS, what's happening in Syria. All of these are hot button issues. These are all things that if you don't have the right opinion, then they will target your videos for. So it's just something that I urge you to be on the lookout for. There's a lot of smoke screens. I find it interesting that right after Hillary got away with the whole email scandal, that suddenly there was this shooting in Dallas. I feel that they were covering for her there. So we're going to see more and more shootings. We're going to see more and more stories of police brutality. We're going to see more smoke screen after smoke screen. But like I always urge you to keep your eyes on Yeshua and to stay in the Holy Spirit rather than letting your heart rule your decisions and your worldviews. Because if you do, you'll be sucked in as well, just like the people who are being sucked into this virtual reality. We have to stay cognizant. We have to stay here more than ever. We can't be sucked in and distracted, or else we really will be sucked back into the matrix without even trying. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you have a wonderful week. Take care, and Yahweh bless you.